Center, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's timely discussion of the future of higher education. And yes, it does have a future. We are honored to host this event at such a pivotal moment. Higher education faces pressures few of us could have imagined even months ago when this event was first planned. That's why it's so important to bring together experienced leaders and proven innovators to help envision a pathway forward. The Graduate Center is a fitting venue for a conversation of this depth. Founded over 60 years ago, we are the only research-intensive public graduate school in New York City. We are proud to be one of the 25 campuses of the City University of New York, the nation's largest urban public university. We offer most of the doctoral degrees within the City University system, 31 in total, in the academic alphabet of biochemistry to urban education, with 18 master's degrees from astrophysics to women and gender studies. Our graduate students annually teach over 120,000 CUNY undergraduates, bringing the latest from their seminars and laboratories directly to the classrooms. Through public programs such as the one you will experience tonight, we take pride in sharing the latest results, advances, and ideas of our faculty, staff, and students with the public that supports us and that we are embedded within. The Graduate Center is the proud home of the Futures Initiative, which we'll be celebrating tonight. For just over a decade, the initiative has been a leader in advancing equity and innovation in research, teaching, and in public service in higher education. Tonight, we're not only hosting a thought-provoking conversation, we're also celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Futures Initiative and the remarkable accomplishments and vision of its founder, Distinguished Professor Cathy Davidson. I'm proud to celebrate the enormous contributions that Cathy has made to our university and to higher education in our country. Thank you, Cathy, for your vision, your passion, and for all the work that you and your colleagues at the Future Initiative have done to advocate for greater equity and propel changes in higher education. Cathy, as you may know, is preparing to retire from her CUNY roles, which has been many, including as a special advisor to the Chancellor on transformation these past few years. She has truly left her mark. Congratulations also to incoming Director of the Futures Initiative, Professor Shelley Eversley, and somewhere in the crowd, Executive Director Adashima Oyo. And special thanks to the diverse community of doctoral students, postgraduate researchers, faculty, and most of all, the students who have been part of the Futures Initiative's mission of breaking down educational, social, and economic barriers and promoting investment in higher education as a public good. That is what this year's anniversary events have all been about. Conversations about the future of learning, of research, of the planet, and tonight's culminating panel on the future of higher education. Nobody ever accused the Futures Initiative of thinking small. I will leave the introductions to Shelley, but I do want to welcome our distinguished visiting panelists, Shelley Lowe, Maurice Wallace, welcome home, one of my predecessors, Bill Kelly, and thanks to my colleague, Nancy Cantor, for all participating tonight. I'm looking forward to what I'm sure will be a critical and provocative discussion of the way forward at a time when all of us in higher education are facing so many challenges and newfound threats to our mission. It's my honor to turn things over to Shelley.
Good evening, everyone. It is really great to be here, and thank you, President Brumberg, and thank you to the Futures Initiative team, the fellows, the staff, Executive Director Dr. Adashima Oyo, for all of this behind-the-scenes work that put this together. I'd like to say hello to everyone who's logged in. We have over 500 RSVPs who are watching this streaming this now, and we're going to get started. It's really wonderful to be here with you all right now. You can see their titles here, these distinguished leaders, and we will get right into it with President Nancy Cantor, with the incredible Kathy, I was going to say F. Davidson, Kathy N. Davidson, William E. Kelly, he lets me call him Bill now, Shelley Lowe, and Maurice Wallace. Thank you so much for coming today. To the members of the audience, please note that you should have received some cards, note cards, and maybe a pencil. We will accept your questions, so please write down your questions as they come to you, and somewhere as we proceed, ushers will collect them. And if you could, especially all of you with PhDs, you know who you are, please write neatly. You can use all caps because I have to read your questions. So thank you for that, and we will just jump right in. I have notes. None of us needs to be reminded, of course, about the extreme pressures facing higher education today, not only because of the defunding of public education that was really moving in full force since the 1980s, but also within the last few months, the defunding of public institutions like the National Endowment for the Humanities, the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, plus libraries, museums, cultural and historical centers all across the United States. While some of these institutions have powerfully and collectively responded to these pressures, others have capitulated in a way that is shameful for anyone who's thinking about higher education for the public good. We know this. We all know this, and one of the reasons why we're here in this room is because we are well aware of the pressures facing us today. And so what we thought we'd do with the Futures Initiative is thinking about the future, thinking about the ways that we can build and grow and create a future. So let's use this time, this conversation today, to model a way forward. And here I'm thinking of something Shelley Lowe said to me earlier today, to think about the endurances, to think about the future, not just for us, but for the people who will be around when we're gone, for the people 30 years from now, 50 years from now. What will we do today that will help ensure opportunities for the public good, for learning, thinking critically, for the arts, for science, for research? What are we going to do today that will inspire and help the future endure in a way that we are so deeply committed? We have such an incredible brain trust with us today, with these incredibly distinguished institutional leaders, people who have committed their careers, their intellects, all of their powerful minds to public higher education and higher education in general. And so let's use their minds. And when you're thinking about lists, let's take this opportunity to get into it so we can build and create something that will make us all really, really proud. So this is my first question for everyone, and that is, we all know there has been a long-standing hostility towards arts and the humanities. And now, the sciences, from climate change to vaccines, are the brunt of this critique. Why? How? What are some of the ways that all of the disciplines can work together to defend and fight for the importance of knowledge, research, and critical understanding? I'm also here thinking about institutions like the National Endowment for the Humanities. What are we going to do? NIH, NEA. So here's the question. What are some of the ways that all the disciplines can work together to defend and fight for the importance of knowledge, research, and critical understanding? I'm thinking about this too because the Futures Initiative has had for the past 10 years a series of public lectures called The University Worth Fighting For. And so another way to think about this question is, what is the university that we are fighting for? I will start with you, President Cantor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. So I think the first thing we have to do is step back and say, who are we working with when we think about the sciences, the arts, and humanities? We need to be working with people on the ground in our communities to make it clear that, in fact, the arts and humanities are critical to human health, to well-being, to the success of their children, to the ability of people to thrive. That's all very good and general. But when you get on the ground, for example, I always point to the Humanities Action Lab. They take students and faculty and storytellers through the communities to talk about climates of inequality, to do science on the ground, to think about how flood resistance is going to be so critical in New York City. We have phenomenal CARC mappings at Hunter. They need to be out with the people. We need to create a two-way street, what I like to call a community of experts with and without pedigree, who really co-produce those solutions. When you go out on the ground in community, nobody thinks higher ed is some thing you could get rid of. This whole notion that the public doesn't like higher ed, nobody's talking to the public.
Kathy?
I recently heard an interview with the head of Uber, who said that he learned two things in college: how to be a good business person and how to tell stories. And I thought that was fascinating because I think one of the things that we have to do in higher education is really work on our storytelling. And needless to say, we've got an audience of here who is here because they're interested in higher ed. So we all have to tell that story. But I agree with you completely. When people talk about how people have lost faith in higher ed, they're really talking about their own children, right? They're working very, very hard to make sure their own kids are going to college. And we know, we have all the statistics, salary improves, health outcomes improve, marital status improves, colon cancer. I mean, there are all of these things people have correlated with living a healthier lifestyle, being fortunate enough to have a job that you care about. Our students at CUNY don't have to be told about the importance of higher education. They're often